Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your Bitcoin report. Today is Monday, April 8th, 2019. Welcome to the show. Now, listen, we got a lot to talk about here. Let me find my chart here. Just give me a second here. Pull it up. Okay, here we go. There's the chart. Let's take a look at Bitcoin cryptocurrency market capitalizations today. Just under 180 billion. 179,754,000,000, a Bitcoin dominance of 50.9%, and we see kind of a mixed bag in the coins today. Some of them are up a little bit, some of them are down. Bitcoin is at $5,189, and we see Bitcoin's up a little bit, just a hair, but Litecoin took a little bit down. It's back down under $90. It's at 88.06. It's down 5.24%. So we're looking at kind of a little bit of a mixed bag in the coins today. Now, I want to talk about something here. An article says, what's the only reason people think that Bitcoin's going to go back down and test its lows again? It says, because they missed their buy-in. Well, you know, I sat there and thought about that for a minute. It says, no logical reason behind Bitcoin not hitting its bottom. Bitcoin price rallied to the 5,000 mark last week. And there are some within the crypto circles who believe that Bitcoin has yet to hit rock bottom or could plunge in coming weeks. This attitude could be born out of the fact that some of them missed out on buying the lows and expected Bitcoin prices to plunge lower so they could purchase at a discount. You know, I got there and I got thinking about that and got thinking about myself, you know, and sat there and analyzed myself a little bit, you know. I'd kind of like to buy more cheaper, you know. So I got thinking to myself, well, gee, how much of what I want is wishful thinking that Bitcoin will go back down low so I can get it lower? Who knows, you know? I mean, it's hard to discern one's own motives, you know, sometimes. But maybe it will drop back down a little bit lower again, because generally these things, when the price drops down like this, generally what it typically does is it tests the bottom a couple times before it starts into a real bull market again. But it doesn't have to be the case. You know, so far we've tested those bottom prices once really good and solidly, and the market now has picked back up to around over $5,000. You know, and we tested those lows in around 3,200. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to test them again. This could be it. You know, it might be down on its low right now again. You know, I intend on actually purchasing a bit more in around these prices. You know, but I got to wait a little bit until I get paid before I can buy anymore. I got to wait for my pay. You know, but I think I'd buy a little bit right now at these prices even, you know. That's the way to do. Buy it all the way down to the bottom. Buy it when it's on the bottom. And then buy it when it starts to go back up the other side a little bit, you know, before it gets too expensive for you. That works for me. And cost average as you're buying, kind of cost average all the way down. And so, anyway, that's kind of my strategy. And then HODL for dear life. Now, we got the Bitcoin halving coming up, and this is going to be a huge event. I'm going to tell you something about this, about the Bitcoin halving. This is a huge event, the Bitcoin, because what it basically means is there's only going to be, the miners are only going to get half as many coins as they used to. So only half as many coins are going to come in. So this is basically cutting the supply in half. Can you imagine what would happen if they cut the supply of the US dollar in half? They said, okay, only half as many dollars, and then 4 years later cut it in half again? Wow, US dollar would become deflationary. They can't do that, though. The whole system would spiral in on itself, and it would destroy everything. But they can do it with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is set up this way. And it's only going to make Bitcoin more valuable as time goes by, because they're cutting it in half. Cutting the quantity of Bitcoins in half. This is a big deal. Now, as we move toward this new paradigm, you know, there's a lot of talk out there about how we're going to have this financial reset. And you've heard that keyword, probably from other people on that talk about the economy. They keep saying financial reset. We're going to have a financial reset. Well, you know, they can't really reset the debt. It would destroy the system. The debt only has to keep growing larger. And what they're talking about is a financial reset with resetting the debt. The debt is the credit. Global debt is the credit. Let's take a look here. Global debt hits $243 trillion. Is this the time for Bitcoin? You know, global debt is piling up and has now reached an incredible amount of $240 trillion. Now here's the thing. That's the credit. The money that you're using right now, the money you got paid, whatever, last week, your paycheck, that's debt. If they reset that, there's no more money out there. It's all gone. You can't reset it. You can't reset it. You can't reschedule it. You can't do anything with it. You can only do one thing, grow it. They have to continue to grow this debt. The financial reset is coming now. And I'm going to tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be into assets that are deflationary. See, this debt is all inflationary. The opposite of that is deflationary. The reset is going to be into the cryptocurrencies and gold and silver. That's what the reset's going to be. It's going to be that they're going to keep going with this debt, expanding it forever, larger and larger. They're not going to reset it. They're going to keep growing it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The reset is going to be when all of that wealth transfers over into deflationary assets like Bitcoin, gold, and silver. And so when all of that wealth transfers over, that's going to be your reset, because it's going to make all of this debt and all of this wealth effect that's created from all this mound of debt, which becomes credit, worthless. Totally worthless. Worth zero. Nothing. So all this global debt's going to go away because it's going to be priced down to zero. All the actual wealth that's in it is going to transfer out of it. And it's not going to be worth anything. And so at that point in time, when it finally gets down so it's all worth zero, this $240 trillion, if the dollar's worth zero, then this $240 trillion debt is worth zero too. So then you get your reset. Your reset is when it becomes totally worthless. But that's not going to be an instantaneous process. That's going to be a process that takes time, and all the wealth that's in that is going to transfer its way over into these other deflationary assets, which are going to go up and up and up endlessly while the debt and this mountain of debt grows. There's no end to how high they could grow it. Take a look at one Zimbabwe $100 trillion bill. Okay, so the debt right now is $240 trillion. It would only take 3 of those bills that they created in Zimbabwe to cover the entire debt. But those bills are worthless. You see people in Zimbabwe walking around with signs made out of cardboard, and they got the bills posted or painted on the signs, and the bills are like $100 trillion notes, and it says, starving trillionaire. The guy can't even afford to buy toilet paper. You know? Quite seriously, they take a roll of toilet paper in Zimbabwe, and they sell each individual piece of toilet paper. Little tiny, you know, like there's 1,000 of them on one roll of toilet paper. And I think they're like $70 million for one of those little squares. You know, you can go into the public washroom and take as many as you want in our society. You know, I mean, if you need a lot of wiping done, you know, I mean, it's just toilet paper. It's practically free, like if you go into a restaurant and ask for a glass of water, you know, it's free. You know, in Zimbabwe, it's like $70 million for one slice, you know, and I mean, this is the kind of price they have. Well, this is what we got coming with hyperinflation. It's going to take the dollars and all that wealth that's stored in there now. All that wealth is stored in debt right now in the system. $240 trillion worth. all that wealth is just going to slide right out in this wealth transfer. Basically, what it is it's their way of taking the money out of your bank account through inflation, taking all the money out of your bank account so that your bank account is absolutely worthless, and transferring that money over. Well, it's just going to be by default that it's going to be transferred over into this new asset class. It's going to create this wealth transfer is going to create an upheaval, a tremendous upheaval, but we're going to make it through it. I don't believe that it's going to happen fairly slowly, for one thing, over a period of a couple of years, two, maybe 3 years probably, and we're going to make it through it. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all, but I believe that everything is going to stay up and running like it is now. You know, it's just that it's going to be hard on a lot of people because as the price of things goes up, their wages are not going to keep up with the inflation. And so it's going to take their whole salary just to feed themselves, and it's going to be very hard. You're going to see an awful lot more of these. Like, have you ever seen, like in California right now, there's big long lineups of people living on the side of the road in whatever they can find, in old campers and in old trucks and whatever they can find, you know? And the police come along and they aggravate these people. They say, you got to move, you got to move. And they post a sticker on their window saying, the county says you can't stay here, now you owe $50 to the county because you're parked here. You can't park here, sort of thing, you know? And they're always moving them and harassing them. Well, there's a time coming when they're not going to be able to do that anymore, to move them and harass them. And the reason why is because there's going to be so many of them that it's going to overwhelm the system to harass them. It's going to be impossible. They're just going to have to... It's kind of like inside your house, you know. If you've got 2 or 3 flies flying around, you can take the fly swatter and go get them. You know, but if you've got 1,000,000 flies flying around, you just throw your hands down, you walk out the door, shut the door behind you, and you're like, what the hell? I can't do anything with that. You know, and that's the way it's going to be for trying to police this. When there's right now, when there's like, say 10,000 of them, the police can still manage, you know. But when there's 1,000,000 of them, the police is just going to say, oh, well, let them camp there. Leave them. And they're going to form cities. The same thing happened during the Great Depression. They had a big city called Hooverville. It was all people that didn't have any place to go. And we're going to go through this kind of a situation all over again when this wealth transfer occurs. But there's going to be the haves and the have-nots. And the haves are going to be the people who are able to maintain their house and be able to stay in their house and be able to buy the food and everything. And these are the people who are going to have the insight ahead of time to have bought in, even if it's only in a small way, to have bought in to deflationary currencies or what like cryptocurrency or gold and silver. Right? The people who are all into the dollar, they're going to watch everything that they've worked for erode to nothing over a period of a couple-year period. This is what we got to look forward to. At the same time as these deflationary assets are going to the moon doesn't even describe it. It's going to be absolute bedlam and ridiculous how high they can go. Because, like I say here, $240 trillion. Divide that into your cryptocurrencies and see where that takes them. From where they are now. You know? Because that's the wealth out there, and that wealth is just going to basically be transferred. The disruption it's going to cause to the world is going to be enormous. And it's going to lead to poverty. Massive amounts of poverty. Because these are the people right now who have, but it's going to be taken away from them. All because of a wealth transfer. That can't be stopped at this point in time. This process has been put in motion now, and it's far in. It's really a long ways in to motion already, and it can't be stopped. It can't be rolled back. It's coming. Listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.